All right, guys, so welcome to another episode of the Imperfectly Perfect podcast, where each week I'm joined by some of the world's most renowned faces in the entertainment industry, on the sports field, corporate leaders, and inspirational thought leaders around the world, each sharing their own truths and their personal journeys. Today, I'm joined by none other than Jonathan Lipnicki, who is an American actor and producer who is most notably known for his incredible roles as a child actor in some of the biggest films to come out of Hollywood, such as Jerry Maguire, Stuart Little, The Little Vampire, Like Mike, and Dr. Dolittle. He's also starred in multiple television series throughout the years, including hit show Dawson's Creek, The Family Guy, The Resident, to name but a few. Over these past couple of years, he's continued a successful career working within the entertainment industry, not only being in front of the camera, but turning his hand to producing as well. Recently, he's had two movie releases, one being that as the lead in the film Broil. He's also a lead in another indie that was released, Pull Into Paradise, a festival run. He released his short film Day, written by Teresa Rebrek, and produced by Andrew Karlberg, who won an Oscar for Skin. He acted in that one as well as financed it himself. In August of 21, he went to Atlanta and shot a fun part in The Re-Education of Molly Singer, starring Britt Robertson and Jamie Presley, which is currently in post-production. So first and foremost, Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
That was one of the best intros I've ever heard. And thank you for, that was great. I'm really impressed.
To say that this is called Imperfectly Perfect, I always say to people when they come in on, I was like, you get interviewed by so many people who have been trained. I was like, I lead by my imperfections. So
yeah,
to hear that, mate.
Good. Well, nobody's perfect, so even the best interviewers, it gets stale.
Exactly. Well, thank you first and foremost for coming on the show. And your story really fascinated me because it's one from an external point of view that everybody thinks they know you, they've seen you. And I've listened to interviews and you came to Australia to do some live recordings, crossover. And I was listening to some interviews and everybody's like, what was it like meeting Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger? Do you keep in touch with them and everything like this? And I suppose the IPC is about what everyone sees on an external isn't always Jonathan's reality. And I know you've openly spoke on so many platforms about dealing with panic attacks, depression, bullying.
Yeah.
So do you mind taking us back to the beginning, as in your personal account of what it was like going from a young child, Jonathan, who with his parents growing up as a little child, to be thrust into this limelight of something that wasn't your reality or your normal?
Yeah, well, I was born into an incredibly normal family. In a suburb in Southern California. The only thing, that I guess really stood out as far as when I did start acting is I didn't live very far from LA. So that helps. I was still technically in LA County. But, I went to Jewish preschool and normal. And then I tried an acting class. My sister was doing an acting class and I wanted to try it. Seemed like fun. I was very young. I was probably 4 3/4. And the teacher saw something in me. She thought I had charisma and she wanted to let me give it a try. I was a little young for the class and I really had a lot of fun. And I think sometimes it's like initially you want to do what your older sibling is doing. So I wanted to try that class. And so I did, loved it. We've practiced these things called auditions in class and I want to do it for real. And my parents were not initially for it. In fact, they were really hesitant, but I pushed really hard. And at a certain point, they were like, we have to support our kid's creative endeavor. Like we got to support his growth. So we tried a few, commercial auditions and I booked a few of those. And then, my life changed forever when I booked Jerry Maguire. I auditioned for it. I did not get it. They shot 2 weeks with another kid. Didn't work out. They went back and they cast me and, I found out what I want to do for the rest of my life, and that feeling is very similar, if not the same, as falling in love when you find something that you're that passionate about. And to be honest, my love's only grown for it. A lot of people who start out very young, it's not their choice and they don't love it, but like, it's always been my choice and it will always be my choice. I love it. I love it. My parents gave me every out after every project. Hey, if you're not liking it anymore, you don't have to do this. But I continued because it's not only what I love doing, but I truly feel I was born to do this and born to do this, whether it's a time when I'm working a lot, I was very fortunate to have some very big roles at a young age, or times when, I didn't work for 5 years at one point. And I think a lot of actors are afraid to talk about that territory because they don't want to seem like they were at any point desperate or whatever, or it's the glamour of like, oh, I was really desperate, then I made it, and it was all, a trip down easy street. But, I initially did really well. And then there was time I didn't work. And, definitely people who I've worked with as far as on my team have wanted me to say that was because I took time to be a normal kid. Part of that's true, but I was still auditioning. I was just a terrible actor, to be honest. Because I didn't want to be myself. I want to be anybody in the world but me. And the most important thing you can bring to being an artist is yourself. And I was so ashamed of who I was, and I hated myself so much that, I wasn't a very good actor for a long time.
Wow. I mean, thank you for sharing that. So I've got an incredible friend that I met 5 years ago, and like yourself, he started on Baywatch. It was Hobie Buchanan. Jeremy Jackson is like one of my best mates. I met him 5 years ago.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
So I actually learned that what you just said there about you go from something so big and everyone knowing you to ultimately having to find yourself. And if you're not happy with yourself, you go on your own journey and then you're not working and people don't see that. And then you've got the press on top of it who are kind of like, what's so-and-so doing these days? Oh, they can't be doing much if they're not on something. So I suppose it's a journey that how you come to grasp as a young kid to move into that area. And even I write down questions and I do my research for these interviews, and I kind of flow because I don't know as a young kid how you remember that many lines, let alone for a movie, because I can't remember.
Exactly.
But what was your reality when, as you say, you came from a normal family, you were thrown into the spotlight with these big Hollywood films? On the one hand, you've got everybody who's loving you, who's thinking you're this person from that, but then you're going home and you spoke openly about having your panic attacks. Yeah. Was that something that came from being thrust into the limelight, or something that you just developed an anxiety disorder, or?
I think I would have been anxious without any sort of fame or anything, to be honest. I think, my parents are anxious. I think that I think there's a certain thing to that it's definitely, it can be genetic. I think that my fears are maybe different because I've achieved some sort of notoriety, I definitely have had career worries. I mean, that's really what it transformed into, but initially it had nothing to do with the industry. It more so had to do with me. And, I thought I was going to die every day for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. I had panic attacks about dying. I thought that everything, it was so irrational. I thought everything would kill me, like anything. And it's hard to even talk about it. It's hard to like actually admit that. But like, if I put it out there, then, and I have before, and it's like, I would spray sunscreen and I would smell the sunscreen. And, when you sometimes smell things, you can almost taste in your mouth. I thought that would kill me. Wow. That's how far-fetched it got. And I was battling every day thinking that I was going to die every day. And I thought I was alone, and I thought it was a very weird thing. And I went to therapy, and it got a little better, but not really. And then I started getting medicated for it. I still am. That's a goal, is to get off. It's so funny, actually. I was looking to get off it right before COVID. And then COVID happened. I'm like, I'm going to stay on some meds for a little longer,
Yeah.
But, I think it can be the right thing, for people. I hope this is a temporary thing for me. I mean, it's been a long time, but I hope that it's not forever. I would like to definitely gain that control back, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't help me, along with therapy. Therapy is very important. But yeah, it was really, really bad for a long time, and it goes through waves. It's one of those things where I don't think like I'm ever going to be completely anxiety free. But, yeah. I do think that, it's gotten a lot better. And I remember the first time I felt like comfortable when I was like, I remember feeling comfortable when I was like 15. And I was like, this is the first time I've been comfortable since I can remember.
Wow.
And it was really weird. It was really weird to think that, to be like, wow, like I'm comfortable. I was listening to music with my friends. And we were sitting in my friend's car. We had to been 16 then, because we got our licenses. And I was sitting in a car. I just had In-N-Out, which are great burgers. And I was like, wow, I'm really comfortable. And yeah, amazing burgers.
I have to pull you up on that one, mate. Every time I come to LA, it's Wendy's. I queued half an hour for In-N-Out, and I was like, what is this? And I put it in the bin and I went to Wendy's for a double
No way.
baconator.
You like the square burgers, man?
Oh.
Anyway, I'll let you slide on that. That's a horrible judgment call right there. But yeah, I felt comfortable when I was 15. I was like, wow, I don't remember ever feeling comfortable, you know, because there's always this is like my fight or flight button was broken and smashed in, you know?
Wow, it's so powerful to hear that. And I don't think it's when you say it's you thought yourself it was weird. I mean, several years ago, 6, 7 years ago, when I know you're into your fitness and jujitsu and what all out, like I'm heavily into my fitness, but mine developed to an obsessive body dysmorphic disorder. And I know that's prevalent, like everybody. I was just,
Oh yeah.
I was having these little rituals where like I'd be in the mirror for up to 2 hours, just pulling myself down. And the reality was I can look at pictures now and go, there was nothing wrong with you, but it shows you what your mind can do, doesn't it?
You know, I think that goes with anything, whether someone's in a bad relationship, romantic or otherwise, or whether they're doing, you know, have a struggle like you did, or like I did with anxiety. Like it takes something outside of it to be able to see it. You can't see it when you're in it, you know, and it's unfortunate that, you know, it's hard to reconcile with that. It's hard to understand, you know, why am I feeling this way, especially when you're younger. Like it's easier when you're older, and then you can kind of understand how things work. So you know, it's hard when you're in something to see it like that, you know, and it's hard to reconcile. Okay, like when I was like, you know, a younger person, you can't really, it's harder to think yourself through it. It's hard to rationalize, you know. When you get older a little bit, you're like, you know, logically at least, this is an irrational fear. It's harder when you're younger because you haven't really developed that muscle as much. And, you know, I think with therapy, the you know, good therapists, you develop tools. You don't become, you know, it's good to go all the time, but you don't become reliant on a therapist. I think that's the important distinction, you know, as far as like, you know, there are, in the worst case scenario, you become reliant on them. The best case scenario, they're helping you with tools. Yeah. And so therapy has definitely been a huge thing for me. Right now, what I've been diving into actually is I've been working with this company, Alter Call, Ryan Blair, who is a successful entrepreneur, started this company, and they do a lot. You do a lot of inner work. You do a lot of meditation. You do breath work, stuff I haven't delved into yet. And I'm at the beginning of my journey working with him. He's been mentoring me, and it's been awesome. It's been really good. I journaled a bunch of stuff over the weekend with him, you know, letting out some stuff I needed to let go of. Letting go is a big thing for me, as it is for many people. And so like, you know, you got to always be proactive, I believe, in your happiness, you know. It's like no matter where you're at, you know, I know some of the most successful people I've known are miserable, you know, and I think you got to be proactive in finding that peace. And I feel like I'm finally on a track towards that, you know, and I think that it will all come together. I feel really good about where I'm at mentally. And I think I have some really, I don't like using that word. I know I have some really great stuff coming up, and I know that it's really meeting all at the right time. And I think timing happens for a reason like that. You know, I think like we were talking about, oh, like I didn't, you know, like I had a lot in the beginning, and then I was, you know, I didn't work for a while. I don't think I was ready to receive the gifts that are going to come to me later because I wasn't mature enough and I wasn't able to handle it. You know, there's a difference of handling something when you're really young and you have a lot of people around you, parents, whatever. But like if stuff happened in my early 20s, especially, I don't think I'd be emotionally capable of handling the type of career I want, you know?
Yeah. I think that what you said there, and that you're pretty much going to open Pandora's box. So it was Jeremy who taught me breath work, and you will go through that, and then you'll get to a space of surrendering. And everything you talk about gifts, and then you'll come to the realization, okay, so we're all spiritual beings, and the more that I look inside, the more I can become happy, and then the external stuff will start coming. So you've opened Pandora's box. Once you go down this route, then you'll start seeing things come to you, and it's amazing. And this journey with me, I've got to meet people like yourself, and for me, it's been incredible, but it's been almost a lesson of learning. And the commonality between everyone, from yourself, from Dr. Joe Dispenza, is you have to start loving yourself internal. And these mental health struggles, if we can turn it to a positive and use it to help another person, I think that's the whole thing, because we're never going to be happy with fame or with money, and we need to get to that place. But with you speak about also, you kind of had this cocktail of emotional struggles, because not only did you suffer with anxiety and depression, when you went to school, you also experienced bullying. What was that like, and what age were you? That was middle school, wasn't it?
Yeah, middle school. Wow, you did your research.
Hey,
Sir.
I'm good to say that I'm not a
I love
professional.
it. Yeah, man. High school was like okay. Middle school was awful. Middle school was just awful. I think kids are at the worst age then.
Yeah.
This was like had to have been what 11 to 13, 11 to 4. Yeah, 11 to 13. Yeah. So turning 11. Yeah. So yeah, every day was a trip. It was I got made fun of a lot for being in movies, for whatever it was. A lot of gay slurs were thrown at me. I'm personally, I mean, I think that's some of the most disgusting things you could say to people. A lot of my best friends in the world are gay, and it's disgusting that people are trying to villainize something like that, and I think that, we've come a long way with stuff like that, but it was disgusting, the things people would say to me, and I can only imagine, how it is for somebody who is struggling with their sexuality growing up. From the little bit of negative attention I got in that way, like it was awful, and it's people are just so awful to each other, and especially at that age. And it was really difficult because I'm dealing with this inner struggle of anxiety. And then I'm also dealing with the like, oh, I hope nothing bad happens today. It wasn't fun, but it definitely gave me tougher skin in certain ways, and definitely left marks in certain ways where like, I definitely have a sensitivity to being made fun of.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm getting better at that, but I can laugh at myself. I guess it's the way in which people make fun of each other. Like I'll make fun of myself all the time when it comes to like career stuff or whatever. But I think when people try to pick you apart at your very core, that really gets to me. And I think that like, I really don't like, which is interesting because I don't like attention in a lot of the ways, like I don't like negative attention as far as, like making fun of. I don't like being the center of attention. It's weird. I love acting because I'm illuminating the human condition. But I mean, like, I did not like being known at school. I wish I could just be normal. And it was far from that, definitely. But you know what I mean? I always look at it like poor Lee, not poor me, It was a struggle, but I learned from it, and stuff in life happens so that you can become a more compassionate person. And I think that without that, maybe I wouldn't be as compassionate towards others, maybe not as empathetic. But yeah, it was rough. It really sucked. But it built me into who I am today. And I'm grateful for that, and a lot of the kids that I didn't like, who didn't like me, I'm completely cool with now. I think that a lot of people had a lot of growing up to do, myself included. I'm not saying I was perfect. I definitely someone came at me, I definitely had a mouth on myself as well, but I think that, we see this bullying epidemic and it continues to grow and grow. And I think it's harder now, especially because of social media, and it's like you leave school and it's still there, and we were at the beginning of any kind of online attention, and social media wasn't even really fully fledged when I was leaving high school. We had MySpace, but it wasn't to the degree it is today. And I think there's a lot to unpack there as far as, bullying. But yeah, man, I don't know what to say. Said it a lot. It's awful. It's awful. People can be really mean, especially at that age. And
yeah,
I gained a lot of compassion from that for others. And I think that's the pro to that,
Did you have an outlet? How did you utilize that?
I got obsessed with basketball for a long period. It's like Mike helped with that. Definitely. I got obsessed. I'd go to 24-hour fitness and play 3 hours of basketball after school. And because what I realized was, and sorry for kind of going on a tangent there about bullying and whatnot, but I realized if I was focused on something, I didn't have a panic attack. So I got to have a panic attack all day, really all the time. It was like my mind was playing this game of what can I find to worry about next? What's going to kill us next? And if I was focusing on acting or basketball, I was good. So like I always was looking forward every day to like, oh, do I, if it's basketball season, do I basketball practice? Then I loved basketball practice. Then I got this sinking feeling when basketball practice ended because I had to go home and like I'd be doing homework and I had bad anxiety. Like I had to really be in the moment with something I loved to not have anxiety. And it was definitely a prison, that was there for a while until it took repetition. It's like working out, you don't get biceps overnight. You have to keep lifting. And the same things with mental health. It was repetitions of continuing to try to work on these tools to feel better. And to this day, I'm still trying to find things that are better for me or conducive to, me feeling better, which a lot of that is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I do Muay Thai here and there. A lot of that is martial arts or, when I get to work, when I get to act, it is truly a blessing. I leave every day going to set so happy. And that's why I'm going to do it forever.
So you had an outlet, but was there a point, and this is what I ask a lot of the guys that come on as well, because this whole masculinity thing is, did you ever speak about it? Or did you try and keep it in? For anybody that's listening who is a guy and is at school and thinking, yeah, I'm dealing with anxiety, I'm getting bullied a little bit, but I didn't say anything. Was there a moment where you used to keep it silent? And then was there that pivotal moment where you're like, I can't handle this myself, I need to speak out?
The anxiety, I tried not to talk about it because I was embarrassed of it. The bullying, everyone saw it. Like, it was very apparent. Like, the whole faculty knew. Like, they were going to sit me by myself with the kid who was allergic to peanuts, and I was like, that's not going to help. This is going to make me more of an outlier. It got really bad for a while. Everyone knew, like, even to this day, people will be like, man, people are really mean to you, and everyone knew. But with the anxiety, yeah, I kept a lot of it a few of my friends knew, but I kept a lot of it to myself, or I talked to my mom about it. She was really my confidant in that. And she was really, really patient with me with that. Still is, still I'll talk to her about it still. But yeah, it's hard to keep something inside like that. It really is.
Yeah.
Felt like I was always battling this private war in my head, with my feelings, with who I was. And it's like, you're going through so much at that age anyway, when you're starting to go through puberty, where like, I hated who I was. I was super anxious. I like, my hands would get eczema on them from going like this all the time. And they would break and they would bleed. And that was pretty awful. But it's like, what, at the end of the day, it's crazy because like one side of my life, I have the ultimate life that anyone would dream for, anyone would dream about doing what I was doing. And I acknowledge that. I always was grateful. I had really good parenting in that way specifically. I've always been grateful for what I do. I know it's different. But at the same time, like way separate than that, because there was a separation there. I had this whole other side of my life where I was less than, like, I wasn't cool in middle school. I wasn't cool at all. I just wanted to make more friends, and I was battling with anxiety. A lot of people not liking me, I felt like, and the bullying that came with that. I was trying to find who I was. I definitely had some phases. I went through some interesting style, which only added to the bullying, but it's made some great throwback Thursdays on Instagram. But, it's growing up sucks for anyone, there's parts of it that suck. There's parts of it that are great. At the end of the day, when I look back, there's nothing I would do different.
Yeah.
We all have our set of struggles. It's about how you deal with it. I'm talking to this with a few friends today. It's like, I don't know what those things are preparing me for. I don't know why I had those particular set of struggles.
Yeah.
They're, my set of struggles, but they're probably preparing me to be a more compassionate person for someone who will need me one day, maybe a kid or, family member, who knows? But I think that things happen for a reason.
Certainly do. And two questions I've got for you is, this day and age, one of the things why I wanted to start the IPC, I sadly lost a friend and I went through body dysmorphia, and that was the whole premise behind it. But one of the biggest things is we see social media, and thank goodness when you was growing up, there wasn't that whole aspect except MySpace. So you are showing your age first and foremost, mate. With MySpace, that's a bit old, isn't it? With Tom.
Oh, yeah.
With Tom, the picture. But all these kids these days, and we see they're posting highlights and they're making out, they're wanting this fast route to success. As somebody who was that child star and openly spoke about not working for a while and then working again and consistently trying to keep on going and finding yourself, for anybody through your own personal experience, what advice would you give to any of these kids out there that are rushing for this fame or this success?
Well, fame's more instant now, with TikTok and with stuff like that. And I think that it's kind of like a drug, you get this high definitely from being recognized for something you do. And I think if you're chasing a high, it's just like, a drug addict. Like there's always going to be a come down. There's always going to be, time when you're without it, when you're starting to feel the urge of it being gone. And I think that if you always chase something for attention, regardless of what it is, you're not going to be fulfilled. But if you genuinely love making content and you enjoy making TikTok videos and it makes you happy, then when success comes or success goes, you're going to be in a better place. If you're an actor and you do it because you want to be famous, like there are a lot easier ways to be famous, like, and fame is one of those things that the more and more time goes on, I think it's way less cool. Because now we're in a society that definitely wants to tear people down. And we're all so imperfect. I'm going to use that. We're all so imperfect that if you look at any of our past, we could all be in trouble for dumb things we've done 10 years ago. We could all be, So I think that it's a dangerous combination of wanting that ride and that rush so fast. And it also could fall apart at any moment, especially now. And so I think that there is no instant fame without consequences. There is no fame without consequences. And there is no attention without consequences, if that's what you're going for. So I think you have to really readjust. I heard a great term the other day, re-educate your ego. And I think you have to look at why you're doing things. If I wanted to be rich, I wouldn't have been doing acting this long. I could work my butt off in something else and probably do way better. If that was money was my focus, if fame was my focus, I would have done more things to try to be famous. But I really enjoy acting. I really enjoy illuminating the human condition. I feel for other people, and I want to be able to bring something to the table when I do something creatively, where people look at that and it resonates with them in one way or another, whether they hate me, love me, feel like they are me. I think that storytelling is so powerful in every form, whether it's literature or movie or TV, that I love creating. And I do it because I love creating. And if you are doing TikTok or whatever the next big thing is going to be because you love creating, then you'll always feel fulfilled to a certain extent. But if you put your emphasis on something you can't control, like fame or, when money, to extent, certain extent, when money comes with that, then you're always going to be empty and nothing's going to change that. And that's why you see a lot of people who turn to drugs. Drugs and alcohol are a very similar thing to fame. There's that high, there's a come down, Yeah. And I see why there's that parallel. And that's why, people go, oh, why do child actors and entertainers always end up messed up? You wonder why? It's because you built them up to tear them down. And that's true,
Yeah, it's powerful to hear. And when you mentioned imperfect before, one of the things I ask each guest that comes on, with everything that you've gone through, what would you say ultimately being imperfectly perfect means to you?
I think that if you look at any journey and you want to be the hero of your own story, you want to have a hero's journey. That is the goal. That's how you should look at life, in my opinion, or it's not fun. Why would my story be interesting if there weren't challenges? If I just had this linear career that just shot up and I was just in every single thing for the rest of my life, okay, like that's not super interesting. But what's great is I've had some really awful times and I've had some really great times, and the awful times have made the great times even better. And I know something right now that other people don't know, as do you, as do anyone who knows in their heart where they're going to be on their journey. I know that the best is yet to come, and it's going to be really awesome, and I can't wait to show you.
So with that being said, what is next for you?
You know, I've been focusing so I shot a movie in August with Britt Robertson, who's one of my friends. She's awesome. Love her. Got through a few scenes with her, a little small fun part in that. But my last 2 years, I wrote this pilot, and it is I've tried a lot of things that I've failed at. This pilot's good. This is really good. I'm gonna make this one. I'm gonna sell this show, and it's gonna be really, really cool. And I'm very excited for people to see that. I think it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. It's the thing that I'm the most proud of that I've ever done in my life, except for being a good dog parent to my dog. You know, that aside, it's the best thing I've ever done. It's the best thing I've ever done. But, you know, honestly, like, I think that's the danger of all this stuff is you look at a lot of people and it's, I wouldn't wish being a role model on my worst enemy, because that's when you're going to fall far. You know, I come here and I go, everybody, I'm so imperfect. I make so many mistakes. I've done some stupid things. You know what? Forgive me. I'm learning and I'm growing. But the minute that you try to be a role model, or if people want to look at me at that at any point in my life, I'm going to be like, don't, because that is where you fall. The more you go up, the harder you fall. Yeah. And in a society where a lot of people are throwing rocks from glass houses, I don't want to be throwing any rocks. You know, I don't, because we all make mistakes, and who am I to judge others, you know?
Exactly. Love that. Well, you know what? Where can people find out more information about you and keep up to date on all your projects and everything?
You know, I'm fairly active on my Instagram, Jonathan Lipnicki. That's where we connected. So
yes.
yeah, you know, I'm fairly active on that. Twitter, I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not gonna lie, it can be pretty vile, and the meanest people live there. Yeah. And then I have a fan Facebook I update here and there, but mostly Instagram. I talk about what I'm doing. I'm pretty candid on there. That's my goal. People are always like, do you have a brand? And my brand is authenticity, man. My brand is like, look at me. I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I made this sweatshirt. I'm wearing a hair thing to try to look like an international, you know, football star. You know, hopefully. You know, that's who I am. I'm a normal person. I think that a lot of actors and a lot of entertainers have lost touch with reality and lost touch with normal people. And I hope that you all can look at me one day and go, that's one of us, and he did it, you know? Yeah. Like, I want to be, they always say, like, the people's champ. That's my goal. I want to be the champion of the people. I want to be someone that you can, you know, not a role model, but somebody you can relate to, and, you know, someone you can go, hey, like, that person is truthful and honest. Like, there's such strength in being honest and vulnerable when everybody, you know, is interviewed and they're like too busy acting like their life is so amazing and that, like, you know, their opinions are the one that matters. I'm here to learn, I'm here to listen, and I'm here to be exactly who I am.
Love that. Love that, mate. Well, I just want to say thank you for sharing your story with us, with our audience. Thank you for everything you do, because it's not just on this platform. I've heard you speak on many platforms about what you've gone through on your journey. So on behalf of me, on behalf of the Imperfectly Perfect campaign, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you for having me. You've had some amazing guests, and I'm glad to be a guest on this. So thank you for having me.
Anytime. And guys, please remember to keep on checking in, subscribe to the show, where I'll put all the links where you can find Jonathan. Until next time, guys, please keep having the hard conversations, because it's the hard conversations that saves lives.